So you want to join the Army, and you have to take the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, which is called the ASVAB. So for the Army, there is a minimum score, and when you hear, oh, there's a minimum score, you're looking at the actually at the AFQT score, which is the Armed Forces qualification test. That is 4 subtests within the ASVAB. So you have a minimum score you can get, and that is a 31. That if you get anything below that, you are not getting into the Army. So make sure I would suggest taking a practice test, saying, okay, this is my score, and if you have something above 31, you should be fine. But then you got a limited amount of MOSs, which is the military occupational specialties you can join into. So if you have a specific MOS you want to join with, which I did, my specific MOS is 91 Bravo, light wheeled mechanic, and I had to get certain minimum scores at least. So I had a minimum score of a 31 on the AFQT I had to get. But then there's mechanical maintenance that I had to get a minimum score of. And the higher minimum score, which meant they could look at just one score instead of 2 scores, was 92. I had to get a minimum of a 92 on the mechanical maintenance. But if I got something below 92, like I had to get at least a minimum of an 87. But then they had to look at a general technical, and I had to have a minimum of an 85. So I had to look at they had to look at those. So when you're looking at those, you can say, okay, I need to get these tests really good, high, and I can actually study for that. So you study specifically for what MOS you want to take. If you are a high school graduate or you have taken the GED and you've done fairly well on GED, you shouldn't have any trouble on your AFQT. But so that way you can actually focus on your other scores that you need to get. So for the 91 Bravo, the mechanical maintenance, that is not one of the subtests. That is consists of 3 of the 9 subtests that I had to look at. Had to look at the auto and shop, the mechanical comprehension, and the electronics information. That is the mechanical maintenance. So when you're looking at that, you're like, okay, I need to study for these really hard so I can actually get a high score on this and I can get the MOS I want. But if you know you're like, oh, I'm really close, so I need to study for the GT, the general technical. Well, that consists of the arithmetic, reasoning. So I had to study for that too. So that's what you're looking at for the scoring. You're looking at, okay, this is my MOS, this is what I want to do, this is what I need to check out. So to study, I studied for the specific sections of the test. I studied with the Kaplan ASVAB Prep Plus, and that has it has practice tests. It also has cards in it that you can study cards, and so that was really helpful. But 30 days before the test, I wanted to get my AFQT score as high as possible, which got everything else higher. I studied with the Spire study system for the ASVAB. It's 30 days, and you just do that, and you can get a higher ASVAB score in general. So that's how you check out what you need to study for. You need to look at what your MOS minimum scores are, and then minimum score for your branch. This channel is particularly for the Army National Guard. So anything I say here, if you're not part of the Army, going into the Army National Guard, you need to do extra research for. So good luck. Study hard, check your MOS, check what scores you need, and get studying.